Welcome to Massive Late Fee. And now your hosts, Mark and Carol.
Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to Massive Late Fee. My name is Mark. With me as always is my wife, Carol. How you doing today, Carol?
Hey, what's up?
Not much. It's been a good week here. It is December 17th, 1999. It is our penultimate episode, Carol, for the entire series. Kind of, basically, sort of.
Nice.
So for those of you that don't remember or didn't listen to that episode or whatever, we're after this year, the 90s, we're done doing this show on a week-to-week basis. We'll be back in the summer when there's breaks from, 90210 will be over, but when there's breaks from Buffy and Dawson's Creek, we'll be back in the summer with this show. We might do this show, like an odd week or here or there when we have off time from those shows. But we're not doing the show on a week-to-week basis anymore. So this is the penultimate edition of that iteration of the show.
So penultimate means the second to last?
Yeah, the one before the last. Yes, correct.
Because, I don't always know what the fuck you're talking about.
Sorry.
I just have to assume that some of our listeners also don't know what the fuck you're talking about. So I'm asking for the other kids in the back of the room.
You speak for the trees. I get it. You may notice that this episode's a little late today because I feel like we should do this episode next week, honestly. I feel like I need more time to fully process everything we just watched. We watched Magnolia.
Yeah, you sounded so happy in the intro of the show, and I don't understand how you can ever sound that happy ever again.
It is a melancholy movie.
Holy shit, it's probably the saddest thing I've ever seen.
What do you think? Why do you think it's called Magnolia?
Okay, is the name of one of the streets Magnolia? That's what I thought.
Yeah, the main street that we're on is Magnolia Drive or whatever in the Tarzana Valley, I think, or something like that.
Tarzana?
Yeah, well, not Tarzana, Fernando Valley? Yeah.
That sounds more normal.
Tarzana is a city in California, too, though.
Okay.
In the Fernando Valley area. It's the L.A. area.
It's the rich people area.
Not really.
No? No,
the valley's more like the commoner area. But yeah, so it's I think North Hollywood. I don't know enough about the Los Angeles real estate market, people. Sorry, but it's not in a great neighborhood, but it's not a terrible neighborhood either.
Well, I mean, some of the characters are definitely rich, so.
Some of the characters are, and I don't think they all live on the same street. I don't think it all takes place on this one street.
Okay.
A magnolia flower is also, it has a lot of petals and stuff like that, and I think maybe there's some symbolism. There's a lot of symbolism in this movie. I think there might be some symbolism with the way that they are separate, the petals, but they also come together in the center. I think that might be part of it, but I'm not 100% sure on that either. I'm not 100% sure on anything in this movie. This is a movie written and directed by Paul Thomas Anderson, who did Boogie Nights, which we previously covered, and a movie called Heart 8, which neither of us have seen. But this is his third feature film. I don't know about you, Carol. This might be the best movie of 1999. I thought it was fantastic.
It was a very good movie. I'm not quite as enthusiastic as you, but it was a very good movie.
It was very sad, like you said. The artistry in this movie is, from top to bottom, from the cinematography to the directing to the writing to the acting. There's at the beginning we get this very frantic.
Oh my god! Yeah, it was very stressful. The whole 3 hours of this movie were stressful.
It's amazing how Paul Thomas Anderson builds tension in scenes just with the camera work. Just with the camera work or the editing, it's crazy.
Or with the music. I mean,
Yes.
the background music
Yes.
was constantly invoking anxiety. I mean,
And there's, Amy Mann is heavily featured in the soundtrack.
towards the end, though, when we're focusing more on the sadness and not the frantic or anxious things.
Yeah. Also, what I thought was very interesting is they call it when you kind of break the fourth wall, they call it meta. Like meta moments and stuff like that. When you break the fourth wall, there's a lot of meta moments in this movie.
How do you mean?
Well, for instance, just as like a general, I don't want to go plot point by plot point necessarily. We'll be here forever,
Right.
But I do kind of want to go back to the beginning after I mention this. But there's one part where Philip Seymour Hoffman is playing a nurse, Phil, I think his name is,
Yeah.
of Jason Robards' character, this producer who's dying of cancer, and he's trying to get a hold of his long lost son, played by Tom Cruise. And when he's talking to one of the guys on the phone, where he's trying to get a hold of Tom Cruise, he says, "Look, I know this sounds crazy or whatever, but it's like that scene in the movie where the guy is trying to find the long lost son." He's like, "That's this scene." It's like, and it's, it's something you might say in real life, but it's also like saying to the audience, "That's this scene right here."
Yeah,
and
we know we're watching it.
And this is the scene where you help me, like that. There's that. At the very end of the movie, Claudia character looks directly at the camera and smiles, which is a little unnerving.
Well, yeah.
And there's another moment too that slips my mind now, but where they kind of reference that this is a movie, at the very beginning of the movie. To go back to the beginning, there's narration by Ricky Jay, and he was a magician actually. He says, in the opinion of this narrator, like he's referencing himself as being the narrator of the thing we're watching.
That's true.
So it's like there's a lot of like winking at the camera kind of stuff going on. All of it in service of the greater story, though. Like none of it seems obnoxious.
No.
When Philip Seymour Hoffman delivers that line, in part, like he's very good in this movie, acting wise. When he delivers that line, it doesn't seem like, oh, haha, we're watching a movie or whatever. It seems like he earnestly believes that he is real, this character. And it's what he said, it's like how he's trying to describe it to this guy. Like, it seems organic, even though it is, like right in our face with it.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, so much so that I didn't even, when you said breaking the fourth wall, it didn't even occur to me that I mean, I think there's kind of a difference, honestly, between meta and breaking the fourth wall.
Yeah.
Looking at the camera and smiling like that, that's breaking the fourth wall, kind of.
Yeah. Acknowledging the audience, yeah.
But I think, referencing scenes in a movie or things like that, that's meta, but it's not really breaking the fourth wall because you're not acknowledging the audience.
No, you're right. That's true. Yes, that's a good distinction. But at the beginning of the movie, we get this narration of 3 separate events, which are all coincidences. The first 2 I'd never heard of. I think they're fully made up for this movie or whatever. The third one I've heard of. But the first 2 is this pharmacist gets killed, and 3 people that like beat him up and everything. They were trying to rob him. They beat him up. They accidentally killed him. They get hanged, and I can't remember exactly, but it was like their last names were Greenbrier and Hill or whatever, and this guy lived in Greenbrier Hill. And so like that's the big coincidence. In the second one, a comedian named Patton Oswalt, he was in
King of Queens.
Something, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he is.
Yeah.
He's in that show.
But anyway, he plays a blackjack dealer that loves scuba diving, and as he's scuba diving, gets scooped up by a firefighting plane that scoops water and then dumps it on the fire, and everything. He gets scooped up and dropped into a tree,
ridiculous.
Dies from a heart attack somewhere between getting scooped up and being dropped, presumably while he was falling. I guess.
I would think that. Yeah.
But coincidentally, the firefighter got into a physical altercation with him a couple nights before, and then killed himself because of the resulting guilt. And that's also a coincidence. The third one, I've heard this story before. This is not obviously nothing in this movie is a real story,
right?
But this is not a real story at all. In any context that it's been told, sometimes it's mistakenly believed to be a thing that actually happens, but it's not. A lawyer, I can't remember his name either, delivered this at this idea. It's like a thought experiment, almost a legal thought experiment at a conference to demonstrate. It's a scenario he made up to demonstrate fluidity of the law and arguments, and how one incident could be argued in a few different ways, and that things aren't always black and white when it comes to the law. But basically, the story is this young kid, like 17 in the movie, I've heard different ages, decides to kill himself. He jumps off the roof of his building. As he's jumping off the roof of his building, as he passes by one of the windows, a shotgun blast comes through the window, hits him, and kills him, where his now dead body falls into either an awning or a safety net put up by the company for repairs, which would have broken his fall and
saved his life.
So he wouldn't have died. But he died of the gunshot blast. The twist of the story is the person who shot him is his mother, who was arguing with his father in the apartment below, and they often had a habit of threatening each other with weapons, unloaded weapons. It's like a weird game they play or whatever.
Yeah, it's fucked up.
And she shot, but didn't realize that the gun was loaded, so it was like an accident. And the further twist is that the son, trying to get the parents to kill each other, was the one that loaded the weapons. Mm-hmm. So the whole point is, how would... in the movie it says she's arrested and he's an accomplice to his own murder. Weird.
Which, post-mortem, like, who cares?
Yeah, exactly. But when the lawyer delivered it in the speech, he was like, so this could be argued many ways. It could be a successful suicide attempt. It could be, you could argue that it was a homicide. You could argue that it was a suicide via somebody else, because he's the one that loaded the weapon. So the whole point was that it could be argued many different ways, and that's what the whole thought experiment was about.
What do you think? What would you say?
Well, to me, if I was on the jury or whatever, and they said, hey, what do you think this is? To me, I would say it was accidental, not like accidental homicide, I guess, or however they determine it. I don't think the mom should go to jail for it. It's accident.
So manslaughter.
No, I don't think she should get charged with anything. It's accident. I mean, maybe reckless endangerment or something like that for pointing a weapon. Even one she thought was not loaded. Something like that. That's all I think she should be guilty of. For the logical side of it, I would say it's not necessarily. You could maybe typify it as suicide, but I think it's more just accidental.
I'd say it was suicide, since he was attempting to kill himself and died all because of things he did.
Yeah, I mean that's probably the closest to what it actually is. But anyway, so the movie begins with I don't want to feel like I'm in class or whatever, because I feel like asking you another question.
What?
But I want to get you engaged in the conversation because I'm so excited about this. I feel like I'm just going on and on and on. So they start with those three stories, and it's like, these things happen or whatever, coincidence and stuff. Why do you think the movie begins with this stuff? Because I have my theory.
With the coincidences that all happen in the same place?
With these three different stories that he tells.
Yeah, the three different stories that talk about coincidences.
Yeah, they don't happen in the same place.
They don't? Oh.
One's in London, one's in... Yeah, they don't happen in the same place.
I feel like a lot of the things that happen in the movie are also coincidences.
Yeah. So I feel like the movie is setting us up as its thesis statement to, because here's the thing. You look at a movie like Pulp Fiction, and Pulp Fiction has all these like different interconnecting stories, which this one kind of does too. But Pulp Fiction never says to you, hey, examine this. Mm-hmm. Examine whether this is just coincidence, whether there's something bigger at work here, whatever. Pulp Fiction takes a very firm stance of there is some firepower. Because the first thing that happens in Pulp Fiction is a miracle where they should be killed and they're not. Mm-hmm. You can see the bullet holes behind them. They're spared for some reason. So Pulp Fiction is very clear on the stance of this is all connected. Like there is a bigger thing at work here, right? This movie, I think, is telling you, think about it, examine it. They're setting us up for like, hey, all these coincidences, like, they're weird, right? Are they just coincidences? Is there something bigger at work here? Watch the following movie and think about that the whole time. Okay. Like, I think it's priming us for that.
Yeah.
So then we get into the separate lives, and I don't know exactly how you want to talk about this movie. If you want to talk about themes, if you want to talk about individual like stories and stuff like that, or how you want to do things. Because I think there's a few different themes here.
Yeah, there are a few different themes here. It sounds like that's what you want to talk about. I was going to say individual stories, but I think
we can do individual stories.
I think we can tackle it both ways. It doesn't need to be exclusive one or the other.
So where do you want to start? What do you want to say? If I'll drive the show. If you want me to drive the show, I just don't look annoyed at me. I'm really excited about talking about this movie. And I want you to be. I don't want to dominate our conversation,
honey. It's okay. You always dominate our conversation, but that's all right. That's just how it works. That's our dynamic.
So, do you have a place you want to start, or you want me to start?
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I think one of the first themes, and we can use the theme, I guess, to talk about the individual stories. The first thing that I noticed is child abuse. I think child abuse is a huge theme in this movie, and it's exemplified by many different stories. So we have probably the most overt one where Claudia, who's Jimmy Gator's son.
What daughter?
Huh?
You said Claudia, who's Jimmy Gator's son.
Daughter, yeah, sorry.
Okay.
She is a drug addict. She doesn't want anything to do with her father.
Yeah.
She won't talk to him. She left the house 10 years ago or whatever.
And she looks like she's about, 18? I mean, like, when did she leave
older
home?
Than 18.
I mean, obviously she'd have to be, but she looks very young to have been on her own for 10 years.
She does look young, but I think she's probably supposed to be like 28, 27, somewhere at 26, maybe somewhere in that range.
All right.
The one guy says he's 32 years old.
Which one?
John C. Reilly, the cop.
Okay.
And they
the one who's trying to date her.
Yeah, and they start like a Officer Jim. They start like a flirtation and stuff like that. So I think they're supposed to be somewhat age appropriate for each other.
Okay.
I don't think she's supposed to be 18. That's to have left her house at 10 or at 8.
Well, I didn't think that. I'm just saying she looked young. Anyway,
she does look young.
Yeah, she's been out of her house for 10 years.
But anyway, so it's revealed towards spoilers for this whole movie. Go see the movie.
Yeah, it's definitely worth it.
It's fantastic. But it's revealed at the end of the movie that he molested her.
Her father, not the cop.
Yeah, the cop molested her when she was a child. She says, like, he says he doesn't remember. He doesn't remember what he did or didn't do.
It's such bullshit.
Now, he has an alcohol problem. It's very clear that he has an alcohol problem. But I guess that's the implication, is that maybe he was drunk and he doesn't remember, be blacked out or whatever. But
he 100% knows what he did. Yeah, it would have been. I think it would have been possible, but they took it too far. So it was no longer like the amount of guilt that he had, the amount of guilt we're shown, I don't think would happen if he wasn't sure.
I got part of that he probably molested her before it was revealed in the movie too.
How's that?
Because it's weird. They juxtapose them having sex and
who having sex.
Just let me get to it. For a second, I thought it might be her, but I don't even know if it was or wasn't. I'd have to watch the movie again. In the beginning, we get this frantic, just rapidly cutting montage of all of our different characters, really. And there's these fantastic zoom shots and transition shots and everything, cross cuts. It's really fantastic filmmaking. But one of the things we see is Claudia, that's Jimmy Gator's, the game show host's daughter. She's at a bar. This older gentleman picks her up. They do cocaine and they have sex. She's lying on the bed and he's, fucking her. And we juxtapose that. We cross-cut from that to her dad. We don't know that's her dad yet. Fucking someone from behind, against the file cabinet or something like that. It's very quick. The hair, I think, is the same color as the daughter's hair. For a second, I thought it was her still, but I think it was supposed to be somebody else. But there's that idea of linking those two, linking her with sex with him.
Okay.
And like I said, same color hair. I'd have to watch it again to really see who it was, and I don't even think we see a face.
Yeah, I don't think we do either.
So, but yeah, and so I was oh, is he having sex with her? And then I was oh no, it's it was, somebody else, but it planted that seed in my mind.
I thought the quick cuts of sex with him was, I thought that was all cutting back and forth from him. Mm. People talking about how great he is. He's winning awards. His wife's talking about how she loves him, and then he's fucking somebody else. I thought that was kind of what was flashing around there.
I'm pretty sure they cut from one to the other.
All right.
Anyway, so I kind of got that idea beforehand. So that's the biggest example of abuse, but there are many other examples of child abuse. So Jason Robards, the producer, he leaves his family, leaves his 14-year-old son to care for his mother who is dying from cancer.
So awful.
That's abuse.
Mm-hmm.
We've got the quiz kid guy, the
adult child star.
Yeah, the adult child star whose parents stole all his money.
$100,000.
That's child abuse.
Mm-hmm.
We have the current quiz kid whose dad is abusing him and using him for whatever he can get out of it.
When they turned on the show, he's all right, let's make some money, people. That's that's all he cares about.
Exactly. And trying to further his own career, getting auditions for himself and stuff like that.
So he makes him wait to go to the bathroom to the point that he pees himself on fucking stage during a live show. That's so awful.
Yeah. I don't know why they're doing this game show live. It's so weird.
With kids, you don't do live TV with kids. Come
on. And with game shows, you want to edit down the ums and ahs and thoughts and
True.
Stuff. You want to tighten all that shit up. So it's really weird. But anyway, so that's more child abuse. And then I'm trying to think if we have any other kids in here or not.
There's the little boy who witnessed the murder in the very beginning.
Yeah, Worm, which is never really paid off.
No. But, the police officer is not, listening to him or acknowledging him. It's not exactly abuse, but it's something there.
There is a theme about how society denigrates kids. Mm-hmm. Even the name of the show, what do kids know?
Oh, my God. I didn't even pick up on that one, but yeah.
And William H. Macy, who is Donnie, I think his name is, the adult kid star or whatever, he recalls an incident with this Jimmy Gator guy where he's he gives all the information about carbon and stuff like that, and Jimmy Gator's response apparently was, all we wanted was the common link, which was carbon, but thanks for all that useless information. He's oh, kids, their heads are always filled with useless information, and it's it's so denigrating to children, and it's using and abusing children is a definitely a huge part of this movie.
And then I think another... Are we okay to move on to the next theme? Or another theme is infidelity.
Yes.
Because I don't think there was a single relationship, marriage, where they weren't cheating on each other.
Well, and so Tom Cruise, who plays Frank T.J. Mackey, his whole thing is that seduce and destroy.
I don't get his character because his mother was dying of cancer. His dad left. He took care of her, made him hate his dad. How did he grow up hating women? Why is he attacking women? I don't understand.
I don't know that he's necessarily attacking or hating women. I think that this is I think you can go... So this kind of trauma, I think, can force you to go in a couple of different ways. I think you could go into, like, being a really sensitive, like, caring guy, or you can be... He's calloused. Like, first of all, he had no positive male role model in his life growing up. Second of all, he shuts himself down for all emotion. The emotional climax of his character comes at the end of the film. Most of them do. Yeah. With the weird thing that happens at the end of the film.
There's a couple weird things.
Which I think is maybe more metaphor than reality, but I guess it also actually happened. I don't know.
In the movie it happened.
Yeah. But it's definitely a metaphor for other things. And a point of, like, revelation for all of our characters. But this is the interesting thing about this movie to me. We're putting all this thought into it and connecting all these dots and stuff like that. But is it just something that happened? Like, and I think that's the brilliance of the beginning of the movie, is saying, like, yes, we can connect these different things to each other and stuff like that. But is it that? Or is it just shit that happens?
Right.
Or is it a bit of both?
Well, at one point, the quiz kid is sitting in that library when the weird thing that happens...
It's a rain of frogs.
Frogs just like falling from the sky.
Millions of frogs raining from the sky. And somehow this cop's gun.
Yeah. And this kid is sitting there, he's like, this is a thing that happened. This is... And I feel like he's saying it over and over, this is something that happened. Because I think we need to hear it as the audience that, yes, this is real. When it started, I thought the woman... she was the first one we see. She's sitting in the car. She had just overdosed on medication.
Yeah. Julianne Moore.
And I thought maybe she was hallucinating.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Well, the first time we see it's with the cop, isn't it?
I don't know.
But anyway, yeah, it like you said. So I guess let's talk about that, because that's another one of the big themes, I think. This rain of frogs that happens. Why the fuck is this happening? Obviously, it happens in the Bible. It happens in It happens in Exodus. I assume that's what Paul Thomas Anderson's referencing here. But why is it happening? Does it mean something? And I think we get different perspectives based on the character. The quiz kid, like you said, I think his perspective is in facts, logic, whatever. This is just something that happens. And I think that's why he keeps saying it over and over again. But it spurs him to go to his drunk father and say, you need to treat me better. You need to treat me better than you're treating me.
How do you think that spurred him?
Because, I think... So, this is weird, and it's like it goes into a lot of interpretive stuff and everything. And maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. It's a big swing, but I'm going to take it anyway. I think his perspective is life is it's a revelation to him that life is random. Random shit just happens, and you're in charge of your own destiny. And so he says, I'm taking charge of my own destiny. I'm going to tell my dad, this is what I deserve. This is what I want. That's what I think he's doing.
And his dad just keeps telling him to go back to bed.
But he just keeps saying, you need to treat me better. He's finally standing up for himself. He's advocating for himself. When he had to go to the bathroom or whatever, he was like, hey, I gotta go to the bathroom. Instead of saying, it's time, I need to go to the bathroom, give me a minute to go to the bathroom. Yeah,
you guys are going to have to wait a minute.
Yeah, and that bully kid that's on his team or whatever, I'm going to kick your ass, that kid, he's obviously speaking up for himself, even though he's a fucking loudmouth asshole. But I think, he's realizing, this kid, that he needs to stand up for himself now, too. So I think that's what it is. For the cop, it's different. When we first see the cop, he is in front of a cross, and he's faced away from the audience, towards the cross. So he's looking to God, but not what's in front of him, right? Mm-hmm. And he's kind of a fuck-up character.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he talks to himself a bunch in his car, and he has all these grand ideas about himself and what he's doing, and you know, being a police officer and everything. And all the stuff he says sounds really nice, like having, like, you know, helping people and not judging people and stuff like that and everything. But he's really a fuck up. He loses his gun. Like, he's not a good cop, and we see in some of his interactions that he's not skilled.
I mean, a child literally says, "I'll tell you who committed a murder," and he's just like, "Yeah, whatever, go away, kid."
Yeah, he has no curiosity. He has no, like, he's not naturally inquisitive or anything like that. You need those skills to be a detective.
Right.
And he clearly doesn't have them. And he has, like, no trust in this kid or whatever. But yeah, he's facing the cross, and a few times he prays to God. He is a person he's a representation of faith, mm-hmm. right? When we see him after the Reign of Frogs, he goes and helps William H. Macy's character, and after the Reign of Frogs, he's at the cross again, but he's faced away from the cross towards the audience, symbolizing, I think, that he's using his faith and everything to go out towards the world. Instead of retreating away from it and into his faith is now empowering him after he has seen what he considers probably a miracle, because like I said, it's in the Bible, to go out into the world. He goes on a date with Claudia, and she's like, now we're not going to see each other again because I'm no good for you and everything. And she kisses him, and she's like, this is it. I can't do this anymore. He's driving away, and he's admitting defeat. Like, you can see he's not thinking about going to her apartment or whatever. He's thinking, I'm done. Mm-hmm. Then this Reign of Frogs happens. He helps out William H. Macy's character. Next time we see him, he's in the bed, like I said, cross. But he's facing out towards the thing. He goes to her and says, you know, we can be together. And, like, you know, he's like fucking pledging himself to this woman that he barely knows. And, you know, that's when she looks at the camera and smiles. And so I think that's another interpretation. The Quiz Kids interpretation is of this event is it's all meaningless. The officer's interpretation of this event is this is divine. And then I think the Claudia's interpretation of this event is more like a higher power kind of, but not necessarily Christian, like the universe, like, you know, making things happen.
Okay.
And for Tom Cruise's Frank Mackey's character, it's more of just a culmination, I guess. Like it doesn't really spur his character to change because he's in the midst of it. It's almost like an exclamation of while he's doing it, kind of. But yeah, that's my interpretation of the frog and how the three different like themes, the three different like explanations of what could be going on here affect different characters.
Yeah. At one point during the Reign of Frogs, a similar thing happens as to what happened in the beginning, mm-hmm. where a character wants to kill himself. Yeah. And then an outside force acts upon him to make it happen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because Jimmy Gator is going to shoot himself over losing his wife, dying of cancer. He's also cancer's another big thing.
Two characters who are dying of cancer in this movie,
and a mother that died of cancer.
Yeah, I gotta say they fucking nailed dying of cancer. Like this movie ripped my heart out because I have watched somebody die of cancer, and it was a hard watch. But I mean, they did a fantastic job. Well, everybody did a fantastic job.
Here's the thing: great acting, top to bottom. The two I would like to mention that to me stand out amongst the others. But like I said, everyone is really good. Even like the kid, like, you know, kid actors can be hit or miss. He's fantastic. Jason Robards, who plays the dying guy, Partridge, Earl Partridge, the guy dying from cancer, the television producer. Jason Robards and Tom Cruise. I think Tom Cruise should win an Academy Award for this movie.
Yeah, he did a very good job.
I think Jason Robards should too, for portraying the guy dying of cancer.
Honestly, yeah. I mean, you keep talking about Tom Cruise's performance, but I think the other guy too, for sure.
His it's so nuanced and like it gets so much right. Where he's like, and to me, like, did Paul Thomas Anderson witness someone dying of cancer? I wonder,
Probably.
like you did, like because it's because part of it's the writing too. But the way he like trails off and ideas like kind of float in and out, and he winces with the pain and everything. Like those are all conscious choices, and like it's so good, and he's captivating. Like I mean, Jason Robards, obviously legendary actor from many years, but the fact that he can talk about almost nothing, like bits of stuff. But I am just like, my eyes are just glued to him. Dude, it's a fucking masterclass in acting.
And then when he does talk about his regrets, he does talk about what he did to his son, that he left his wife, and it's the most coherent thing. It's like he has a moment of lucidity and spends it in regret. And I think regret's another huge theme.
Yes, and loneliness. Movie. Loneliness is another big one. Regret and loneliness.
Where do you see the loneliness?
Well, there's a lot of lonely characters. So Claudia is lonely. She's addicted to drugs. She's dealing with this trauma, a string of different men and stuff like that. She's lonely. Officer Jim is lonely. His character is introduced both in front of the cross and with a voiceover of his like personal ad. Or whatever, like looking for someone, and he admits later he hasn't been with someone since his wife 3 years ago, and he's a lonely character. I think that Tom Cruise's character is lonely, despite all the sexual conquests he has. He's really isolated, though. He doesn't have true friends and stuff like that.
Yeah. And everything about him is an act.
Yeah, exactly.
So he's just wearing this mask, like this. He's so over the top all the God, that's got to be exhausting. And
when the mask comes down at the end of the movie, that's what I think is the brilliance of his performance is that, and we'll get to that. But William H. Macy's character is also lonely. He's in love with that bartender and stuff like that. He sees that one character, the old guy with money or whatever, is almost like a Ghost of Christmas Future fucking like thing. Like that's going to be him when he's older, kind of revelation. Yeah. And like so he's lonely. So we have a lot of, and Jason Robards is somewhat lonely. So's Julianne Moore, even though they're together, they're married or whatever. They are. The disease is isolating them from each other. They can't connect to each other like they did. So I think there's a lot of loneliness in this movie.
Well, she says that she wasn't in love with him when she married him.
Right. She only married him for the money.
And then she cheated on him a bunch.
Yeah, lots of times.
And then she fell in love with him. And now she's, crippled with regret over that.
She knows that she's in the will, and she wants not to receive any money because it will make her sick, because she feels that she has completely betrayed this guy that she now loves, and it will, like, to get what she originally wanted out of the marriage would cheapen everything, like all of the emotion that she carried with her.
I'm really disappointed in her character, though.
Yeah, because
she gets the medicine to help him. Now, the doctor makes a point of saying, once you go to the liquid morphine, you can't come back. He's going to, all of the things that make him will fade away. That seems a bit over the top. Yeah. But she can't bring herself to give it to him, even though it's going to make him feel better. So she just leaves it for the nurse.
Yeah.
And then she takes all the rest of the medicine. I think some of that was supposed to be for him.
Yeah.
And she leaves him. She tells the nurse all the stuff she wants to say to him and leaves. Like, grow up here, lady.
She's a coward.
Yeah.
Her character is a coward, for sure. And Julianne Moore portrays this, like, unhinged, mentally she's also fantastic. Everyone's great in this movie, and I don't want to give anyone short shrift by saying that they're not or not highlighting their characters. She's also fantastic. Everyone is 100% on their game.
Oh yeah, they all do great.
But yeah, she's a bit of a disappointing character, but I think she's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Do you think that our characters get a happy ending? Do you think any of these people get a happy ending?
No. I don't think any of them are capable of being happy.
Yeah, I think depression and mental illness is another big part of this movie, too. And substance abuse.
Maybe the child will have a happy ending because he's starting to stand up for himself and he's got a lot of time and he might, do well in his career or whatever. But all the adults, I think, are too far gone.
I wonder if William H. Macy and John C. Reilly will become friends. And bond,
in heaven?
And bond over the fact that they both have initials in their name. What do you mean in heaven?
Oh, you're talking about the actors?
No, they're not dead. Neither one of them died. What are you talking about?
I don't know. Never mind.
Who do you think I'm talking about?
I don't want to say.
Why?
The two characters who died.
Jason Robards and no one else? Oh,
the two that had cancer both died.
Jimmy Gator, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Not them.
Sorry.
It's the quiz kid and the cop.
No, I don't think they're going to become friends. Jason
Robards and something Baker, the Mr. Bookman from Seinfeld, Philip Baker Hall. They're the ones that die. The cancer-ridden dudes.
What did you think of Philip Seymour Hoffman?
I thought he was great.
No, he was the nurse. I'm saying the right person, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Like he didn't seem to be a highlighted character. He seemed like more of an accessory.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
But he's there to facilitate what Julianne Moore's character can't or wouldn't
well, yeah,
do.
He's the hospice nurse.
And yeah, it's so funny he's calling to order pornographic stuff. And at first I was thinking like, okay, this guy's got some appetites or whatever. And like he's very embarrassed about it and stuff. And then when it comes, we realize it's because he knows he sees the whatever tame her or whatever it's called.
Seduce and destroy.
Yeah, seduce and destroy. But I think it's like 1-800-TAME HER, I believe is the number. But he sees like, oh, there's another number I can call. Like he's got it for the ads, so that he's the only person in the history of the world that has bought pornographic magazines for the ads. But he does it so he can try to get a hold of this guy, which he successfully does somehow.
It's very impressive. Like, as a hospice nurse, that must have been like one of the best like careers ever, like the best day in his career where he actually succeeded in helping somebody do something they want to do before they died.
The final wish, like
I mean, I don't think you get that often.
And yeah, so let's talk about Tom Cruise's character real quick.
Okay.
So Tom Cruise's character, he fucking seduce and destroy this asshole, and he is off the wall jumping like, and it's the range that this character goes through that I think is the most impressive, because he goes from this very manic let's do it, we're gonna get respect the cock, tame the cunt, and like all this shit and everything, and he goes from this like Tony Robbins style like pickup artist dude jumping all around and everything to his character like fucking crumples as he's getting interviewed by this woman. And I don't know about you, did you feel sexual tension between him and the woman? Like, I feel like he was trying to seduce her, and for a while I was thinking like, oh, this is gonna work, like she's trying to be tough with him or whatever, but it's gonna end up he's just gonna sleep with her and stuff. But that doesn't happen. He's met a woman of formative substance who has done her homework, who is ready to like fucking delve into the depths of his persona. Also, if you're this person, why open yourself up for this type of interview?
Yeah.
Like usually interview questions are like pre-vetted and you have like a list of topics that are off limits and stuff like that. But he opened himself up to a completely candid interview.
Well, he didn't want to. I don't think he would have put that on a list of topics not to talk about because he doesn't think anybody would know about it. Like, it's a secret, basically, like his past.
I guess, yeah. I mean, the internet is a thing now, everyone. Like, there are records you can look up on the internet.
Right. And, well, she did. So she found out his past, called him on it.
She did the legwork, too, because she went there. Because he's lying about, he says, like, his dad is dead, which is not true yet. He doesn't know that he's on his deathbed.
Yeah.
But he says his dad is dead. He's close with his mother. His mother's actually dead. Mm-hmm. That he went to USC or something like that.
And he didn't.
Psychology. And he didn't officially enroll. He had some professors like let him in class or whatever.
Well, no, at first he was making it sound like he had a degree in psychology. Yeah. Then she asked if he got his master's because he said he was there for, I don't know, 5 years or something.
And he was like, almost.
Almost.
And she's like, impressive, in only 5 years.
You can't almost get a master's without getting a bachelor's, people.
Right.
Just throwing that out.
But he doesn't have a degree at all because he was never officially enrolled there. And he says he had professors that let him sit in class, but that's probably a lie.
Oh, it's probably a lie. It's just trying to make it seem like...
Give him more credentials.
Yeah, because she already caught him in that lie.
What I don't understand, though, is why lie about your mom being alive and your dad being dead. Like, I don't... That has no bearing on his career. But I think...
That's what he wishes.
Yeah. And that's the thing. That's his wish, and I also think it's part of his mask. That's like changing his name and everything. It's all part of a persona. He doesn't want to be the person that he was born to. He doesn't want to be associated with his father.
Yep. Yeah, it's sad. I mean, he's a very sad character. I was amazed. Bless you. I was amazed that he actually took the time and went to his father's deathbed after this interview. Because immediately after the interview, he is upset with this woman. He says, he spent some time just staring her down.
Yeah.
After she,
What are you doing? Silently judging you.
Yeah. So that's how the rest of their interview goes. He's very upset about her calling him out. And then he gets on the phone with...
his assistant.
Yeah, who has been on the phone with the nurse.
Yeah.
And finds out his father wants to see him and is on his deathbed. Like, I did not anticipate that this was going to end with him actually going to visit his father.
Right.
I thought he'd just hang up the phone and be like, fuck you.
And so he goes there, and he is now a completely different character. Mm-hmm. Because his mask has fallen. So Tom Cruise has to play this character that we see, who is wearing the mask of a different character and putting that on. And it's like layers, It's fantastic. But he goes there and, he does all the like, his, like, holding his hands together like that, like, that was such a good choice to me because it conveys him trying to hold back the tears and the emotions, the stuff that ends up pouring out of him, but also, like, his rage. Mm-hmm. Like, I think he's holding his hands because he wants to beat this man.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is all understandable. Leaving his dying wife and his son, like, just monstrous shit. Mm-hmm. But he's like, I'm not gonna cry, and everything, and he ends up like
bawling.
Yeah, like. Because he's pouring out all of what he wants to say, like why didn't you call,
she waited for your call.
Yeah, like, I mean, it's all heart-wrenching shit, like, and it's so good. He's so good.
I mean, I even loved when he's crying and he's like, fuck you, you piece of shit, don't leave.
Yeah. Yes.
Like, because it's all that fucked up whirlwind of thought and emotion.
Well, and I think it's two things. Don't leave. He's saying, don't go now. But I think he's also saying, like, it's like he's 14 again. Don't leave.
It's all dredged back up.
Make it not be that. Mm-hmm. And he is so good in this movie. Like, yeah, he's the guy in Mission Impossible, the big action guy and stuff like that. but he's this too.
Yeah.
Like, he's so good. So, yeah, fantastic movie.
Very good movie. The Reign of Frogs, when it started, kind of pulled me out for a minute. I'm like, why are they taking this realistic movie and making it so fucking fantastical and stupid? But I get it.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's a metaphor, I think. It's a big swing. It's a big swing. A lot of people would not have the balls to do something like this in a movie so grounded. But I think it works in a weird way. Like, it's just like this bizarre coincidence. And Reign of Frogs, we've heard of that before. I don't know that's ever actually happened outside of the Bible, outside of Exodus. But, like, I've heard of it as a thing. Stephen King wrote a short story about a weird Reign of Frogs.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And it's just Night of the Frogs, I think it was called, or something like that. But it's like I said, I think it serves as a thing that actually happens, but as a metaphor too. The other thing with Claudia, I wanted to point this out because it's a little weird, like, thing that they focus on for like a split second. She's obviously in a lot of denial about what happened to her and stuff like that. But I wonder if she is like trying to convey that in her art, because we see when the frogs start coming down, we close up real close to this painting that she has in her apartment that I'm presuming she painted herself, and like I don't see exactly what's going on with the scene, but underneath the woman in the scene it says but this happened. And I'm wondering if she's talking about her thing.
Yeah.
This happened, you know.
Yep. I think she was.
So, yeah, weird movie, sad movie, but really, really good movie.
Very good movie.
And I mean, I could talk about the cinematography, light stuff. I like blue and white were Officer Jim's colors. Oftentimes we see, because there's a lot of shadow. There's a lot of you know, like different light and shadow in this movie. And he's represented by blue and white police officer colors. That makes sense. When he first goes into Claudia's apartment, they stand in front of a blue like curtain thing. That's like representative of his color. The only room that they're in that is not in shadow is the room where she's making the coffee, where we stay as the characters come in and out of that scene. Her colors are warmer. They're like, I think, more indicative of pain and suffering and stuff like that. There's a lot of yellows, reds, oranges, stuff like that. She has orange curtains, red curtains, and stuff like that diffuses the light to make it into those colors. She's in shadow a ton of times, except for when they're together at the very end. Like, shadow leaves her and she's more in light. That she stares directly at the camera and smiles right before we go to credits. Like, so there's that's not the only example. There's examples for the other characters and stuff like that too. But he's doing a lot of stuff with light and color. That's really interesting to me. And I would have to really sit down and dissect this movie. I'm sure there's a ton of shit we didn't talk about as far as motifs, themes, ideas, story, like, you know, things behind everything else going on. But
I mean, I feel like this could be a course in college to just picking this apart.
100%, yeah.
Or writing a whole term paper on it, though. I mean, like, it's there's so much to this movie.
But I really, really loved this movie.
It was very, very good.
But that is the episode for the week. Here, I'll tell people where they can find their own Reign of Frogs.
You can write us at latefee1994@aol.com. Check out our website at www.retrolatefee.com.
Yep.
And share the tapes with your friends.
All right, see you next time. Bye.
Bye.